Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. To begin, I'd like to invite everyone to stand for the playing of the Belizean National Anthem. Thank you very much. You may be seated. Good morning once again. My name is Janelle Mencias, and I'm pleased to be here with you today for this very important occasion, which is the launch of the Caribbean Development Bank's Trade Program in Belize and the EPA CSME Standby Facility projects. And just for the benefit of our audience joining us online, I know that we have trade experts in here, but EPA CSME stands for the Economic Partnership Agreement, and CARICOM Single Market and Economy CSME Standby Facility for capacity building. As I said, this is an important launch, and to help us launch this program, I'd like to introduce our specially invited guests. With us today, we have the Honorable Amon Courtney, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade and Immigration, Dr. Jean Leon, President of the Caribbean Development Bank, and members of his technical team, Ambassador Amalia Mai, Chief Executive Officer, Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Mr. Xavier Canton Lamous, Program Manager at the EU Technical Office in Belize, Ambassador Wayne McCook, Assistant Secretary General, CARICOM Single Market and External Trade at the CARICOM Secretariat, Dr. Osmond Martinez, Chief Executive Officer, Economic Development, Mr. Andy Sutherland, Director General for Belize's Directorate General for Foreign Trade, and of course, our project representatives, Mrs. Estella Bailey Leslie, Comptroller for the Customs and Excise Department, Mr. Francisco Gutierrez, Managing Director for the Belize Agricultural Health Authority, BAHA, Mr. Jose Trejo, Director for the Belize Bureau of Standards, Mr. Justino Peck, Chairman for the Board of Directors for the Toledo Cacao Growers Association. Our public and private sector representatives here today, our other specially invited guests, our online audience joining us in Belize and regionally, and members of the media joining us. Today, we will launch 4 projects valued at over $1.5 million US, and these projects will focus on enhancing cross-border trade in Belize. As mentioned, the benefiting organizations are the Customs and Excise Department, BAHA, the Belize Bureau of Standards, and the Toledo Cacao Growers Association. To begin this very important ceremony, I'd like to now invite none other than CEO, Ambassador Amalia Mai.
Good morning, and thank you very much, Janelle. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Amon Courtney, President of the Caribbean Development Bank, Dr. Jean Leon, Director General, Ambassador Wayne McCook, colleagues, my own colleagues, Osman Martinez, delegation of the EU, headed by Javier Cantun Lamus, senior officials and friends. Good morning and welcome to Belize and to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade of Immigration. I trust, Mr. President, that your visit to various parts of this country has been productive and that you have been able to experience firsthand the warmth and hospitality of the people of Belize. It is a great pleasure for us to be hosting this launching event of the Caribbean Development Bank, Belize Trade Program, and the EPA CSME Standby Facility projects. Through this partnership, 4 stakeholders will be participating in a program of support headed by the CDB with some support from the European Union. The Customs and Excise Department, which will benefit from a time-release study that will eventually inform the scope and feasibility of an electronic single window. The 3 others include the Belize Agricultural Authority, BAHA, which will receive support for the development of a risk-based sanitary and phytosanitic sanitary import and export control system for Belize. The Belize Bureau of Standards will also receive support to improve the national quality insurance. And the Toledo Cacao Growers Association, the sole private sector entity, which will receive support to increase participation of the cacao industry in the cacao chocolate global value chain. Mr. President, colleagues, the timing of this multi-partner initiative supporting multiple stakeholders across the trade ecosystem comes at just the right time. Given the severity of the COVID-19 pandemic on our people and country, our singular focus this past year has been on tempering the socio-economic fallout by revitalizing the economy. For us, one of the modes for restructuring the economy is through agriculture, while not seeking to eliminate some forms of reliance on tourism. A conscious decision was taken for sustained attention and resources directed to the agricultural trade. For all the right reasons, agricultural trade remains a key cornerstone in our development plans, as it is essential to providing income to rural families, supporting food security and nutrition, and helping with the fight against poverty. We have been engaged in various efforts to promote agricultural trade, such as expanding and finding new market outlets for production, as well as providing accessible and affordable financing and other forms of support to MSMEs. Therefore, the support being provided jointly by the CDB and the CSME standby facility dovetails nicely into the national thrust of strengthening the overall trade ecosystem. This will be the objective of fostering greater responsiveness and agility in meeting private sector demands. We foresee an increase in these demands as additional market access opportunities are unlocked, allowing for more participation of private sector stakeholders. The expectations from support are high. We are confident that these 4 projects will set the pace for a much more expansive and deeper trade programs that will positively contribute to a vibrant and thriving trade environment. To the national partners leading on this program, I say congratulations and look out for our active participation, as I do believe our team here will be leading on the time release study. And as the adage goes, to whom much is given, much will be demanded. I say this to encourage you to be diligent, resourceful, and innovative, knowing that your success will impact those who have access to your services. Once again, I warmly welcome you all and thank you for being part of this morning's exciting initiative. And may our visiting team continue to enjoy Belize. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CEO. We are in COVID times, and so here in Belize, we are making sure we do our part to be safe. On that note, our next speaker was not able to join us, but if it's one thing COVID has taught us is that we can be flexible. And so we will be streaming a video of Ambassador Wayne McCook, the Deputy Secretary General for CARICOM.
Thank you, CEO. Minister Courtenay, Dr. Leon, representative of the EU delegation, distinguished guests. I'm delighted to present these remarks on behalf of Secretary General, Her Excellency Dr. Carla Barnett. The CARICOM Secretariat is delighted to join in the official launch of the CARIFORUM EU Economic Partnership Agreement, Caribbean Single Market and Economy Standby Facility Projects, and the Caribbean Development Bank's Belize Trade Progam. This is an excellent example of partnership in support of Belize's trade and development agenda and the commitment and contribution of development partners to the CARICOM single market and economy. The CARIFORUM EU Economic Partnership Agreement is the most far-reaching bilateral trade and economic arrangement that CARICOM enjoys. It lays the framework for the region to expand trade in goods and services with markets in Europe. The EPA CSME Standby Facility provides valuable support to our efforts to strengthen trade partnerships and performance, and thereby secure optimal benefits from the EPA and single market agendas. The associated projects, enhancing Belize's national quality infrastructure and increasing Belize cocoa industry's participation in the global cocoa chocolate value chains, are well placed to yield far-reaching benefits to Belize and the wider Caribbean. Trade and economic growth in Belize will create opportunities for mutually beneficial expansion of trade and investments in the CARICOM single market space, deepening regional integration, strengthening resilience, and reducing vulnerability to external economic shocks. Standards and quality are vital for product competitiveness, expanding market presence, and increasing consumer protection and confidence. The application of internationally accepted standards is a valuable tool for integration into global value chains. For CARICOM countries, this is vital for the growth and development of critical sectors. CARICOM countries are, in the main, small open economies, and international trade is critical for their economic performance. In that regard, the CDB has a crucial role to play in ensuring that trade plays an expanded role in driving economic growth and development across our region. The CDB's Belize Trade projects are excellent examples of that commitment. Just as standards and quality have cross-cutting benefits for production and trade, all trading activity stands to gain from the effective implementation of trade facilitation measures that improve the ease and speed of doing business. The CDB's support for the Belize Customs and Excise Department, aimed at laying the foundation for the establishment of an electronic single window, will make an important contribution to the strengthening of Belize's customs and trade infrastructure and the advancement of its trade facilitation agenda. Given Belize's significant agricultural production, the project to strengthen the risk-based SPS import and export control system is timely, and it is important to advancing Belize's trade in agricultural goods and the region's push for food and nutrition security. The CARICOM Secretariat is excited to join in today's launch, and we wish the government and people of Belize and our partners every success. I thank you.
Ministry of Finance, Economic Development and Investment in Belize, representative of the Toledo Cocoa Growers Association, Belize Bureau of Standards, Bahar, and Belize Customs. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. On behalf of the EU Ambassador Marianne Weinstein, I would like to start by thanking the Government of Belize and the Caribbean Development Bank for the invitation to speak today. The EU would like to express its pleasure in participating in this project launching as they aim to enhance Belize's capacity to trade and to become more competitive in the global marketplace. The EU has been consistent in its partnership to the region, especially in its support to beneficial integration of the CARICOM member states into the world economy. 2 of the 4 projects being launched today are being financed under the current standby facility funded by the European Union and managed by the CDB. The standby facility was created to support member states in the region in the effective implementation of the Economic Partnership Agreement, the EPA, and the Caribbean Single Market and Economy, CSME. The first project, increasing participation of Belizean cocoa industry in the cacao chocolate global value chain, will assist the Toledo Cocoa Growers Association to provide support to its members in improving productivity, quality, and value chain value addition of cacao production. It is expected that this will lead to the growth of both local and international markets for Belizean cacao. The second project, called Enhancing the Belize National Quality Infrastructure, will improve capacity for calibration and measurement and increase application of ISO-based quality management systems at the BBS, Belize Bureau of Standards. Both projects will go a long way improving the quality and competitiveness of Belizean goods and services. These initiatives are proving to be vital as regional economies continue to come to terms with the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. As I mentioned before, the standby facility forms part of a wider program of support under the European Union, some 20 million euro grant for the implementation of the Economic Partnership Agreement. Signed in 2008, the EPA goes beyond the typical trade agreement that provides duty-free and quota-free access to the EU market. It also contains clear commitments on trade in services, investment, trade-related issues such as competition policy, government procurement, intellectual property rights, as well as sustainable development aspects. The standby facility support was designed to provide assistance in addressing the various impediments to trade that may be unique to each country. EU funds are typically used to equip producers to meet international standards in food safety, technical regulations for goods, improving the capacity to access new markets, improving the regulatory environment for business, and improving the customs and trade facilitation process. It is heartening to note that the projects being launched today complement the work already being done under the EU assistance to SPS, sanitary and phytosanitary measures, managed by ICA, the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, as well as the EU regional project on technical barriers to trade, managed by the CARICOM regional organization for standards and quality, together with the German Institute of Metrology. This project has seen significant achievements in closing the quality gap or quality gaps and strengthening regional frameworks in standards, metrology accreditation, and conformity assessment. I would like to reiterate the excellent collaboration the EU and the Caribbean Development Bank have together, of which this project is only one example. In closing, the EU reiterates its support to Belize and the wider region through initiatives like this. We look forward to the outcomes and lessons learned, which we are certain will not only be beneficial to Belize, but to other member states. I wish to once again congratulate the Government of Belize, the Caribbean Development Bank, and all other parties involved in this project. Thank you.
I'm sorry, the MC's job has become that much more difficult. So now we've heard from our speakers a bit about the projects, but who better to hear from than those who will be benefiting? And I'm pleased that today here with us we have representatives from these beneficiary organizations. And now I'd like to turn your attention to this feature video on these beneficiaries. Trade affects citizen prosperity, which is in turn influenced by the environment. Whether it's efficient ports, tech-savvy institutions, localized accredited labs, and production facilities, a favorable business environment can increase trade opportunities by embracing innovation and efficiency. The Government of Belize, the Caribbean Development Bank, the European Union, and other strategic partners are working together in Belize on 4 projects valued at over $3 million Belize dollars to enhance cross-border trade. At the Belize Agricultural Health Authority, public officers will be leveraging technology to increase efficiency, lower cost, and expand the availability of e-services with the first project.
The CDB funded project is for the development of an risk-based SPS import and export control system. As an organization that is related or does work to support trade, both in import and export, we have been looking forward to develop capacities, especially technological capacities, to improve the services to those people who import as well as those who export.
The Belize Bureau of Standards is being provided with equipment and training through the EU-funded EPA and CSME standby facility. This financing will expand available testing services to its clients.
I think from the perspective of trade, it allows us to become more competitive. If we develop our services internally and if we can develop our calibration measurement capabilities, it allows us to put Belize on the map in terms of doing calibration that is internationally recognized, so that a factory, a producer can have a certificate that is not only recognized nationally, but it's one that is recognized regionally and internationally.
In Toledo, a new facility, also with EU support, is being constructed for use by small-scale farmers. It will be managed by the Toledo Cacao Growers Association. This, along with equipment, training, and marketing assistance, will encourage greater participation of farmers along the cacao and chocolate value chain and increase members' earnings.
The project will allow the farmers to have a sense of ownership in the enterprise of growing cacao, processing, including up to the distribution to the end consumer. This process will further create employment for the many unemployed women and youths in our era that currently do not have these opportunities.
To increase efficiency of exports and imports at the ports of entry, the Belize Customs and Excise Department will undertake a time-release study to identify bottlenecks and implement strategies to address them to the benefit of consumers and the wider private sector.
This will make the trading environment better for the public, the business community. It also leads to transparency and accountability and predictability, which the trading community needs in order to make informed decisions.
With these initiatives and partnerships, several institutions will become more robust and service-oriented. Greater trade will also be facilitated. The impact of this multi-agency collaboration will be felt by everyone involved in commerce as we continue to enable growth and support economic resilience by transforming lives through trade. Now, since Monday, Dr. Leon has literally hit the ground running, starting with meetings since he's been here, and he's been on site visits for CDB projects. He's been in some key meetings with both public and private sector stakeholders, and he's here with us today for this very important launch. So I'd like to invite CDB's president, Dr. Jean Leon, to make remarks.
Honorable Eamon Courtney, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade and Immigration, Ambassador Wade McCook, Assistant Secretary General, CARICOM Single Market and External Trade, CARICOM Secretariat, who is not with us physically, Mr. Xavier Canton-Lamousse, Team Leader and Project Manager of the European Union Technical Support Office in Belize. Also, we have government representatives, project beneficiaries, other specially invited guests, members of the media, online audiences, regional viewers, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Permit me to extend sincerest appreciation to the Government of Belize for the hospitality extended to our team while in country. Having visited several districts and multiple projects supported by the bank, we have truly experienced the warmth of the Belizean people and already feel like family in your beautiful country. Our technical team leading the trade agenda has also enjoyed a productive, supportive, and highly engaging interaction with public service personnel, including ministers, CEOs, technical and administrative officers, while shaping these 4 new specialized projects set to impact Belize's trading environment. Ladies and gentlemen, CDB's relationship with Belize extends beyond 5 decades and remains closely aligned and focused on helping you, the people of Belize, to attain your sustainable development goals. The bank, as the 2nd largest contributor to the Government of Belize's current suite of development-related projects, has clearly signaled our intent to sustain and increasingly collaborate demonstrates our commitment to do even more in service for the people. Belize therefore remains a highly valued borrowing member country we steadfastly serve. Our country strategy for Belize, which guides our partnership and program of work, seeks to not only bring the country closer to the sustainable development goals, but also enables the state to increase competitiveness and productivity, improve the quality and access to education and training, positively impact the social sector, champion environmental sustainability, reduce vulnerability, and enhance governance and institutional development. I have, over the course of this week, witnessed firsthand the impact clearly signals the priority placed on our endeavors in the trade arena as we recognize the significance of improving economic growth and competitiveness. We intend to accomplish this by working with public and private sector interests to strengthen Belize's competitive edge, enhance its human capital, reduce gender and other inequities, particularly in the labor market, and improve the policy and institutional framework supporting business development and entrepreneurship. Increasing trade and the creating of an enabling environment, therefore, will add much needed fuel to the growth engine driving Belize's development. As you have heard, we are providing assistance to 4 organizations: the Customs and Excise Division, the Bureau of Standards, the Agricultural Health Authority, and the Toledo Cacao Growers Association. These agencies will seek to, with funding from the bank and our long-standing development partner, the European Union, to improve components of the trading environment to benefit private sector and state interests, and ultimately the lives of the Belizean people. This will be accomplished by the successful implementation of activities for identifying and targeting existing challenges being experienced at local ports, in standards and quality infrastructure, in health and agriculture, and manufacturing and export. At the bank, we are increasing the prominence of trade-related initiatives, recognizing its role in supporting development and reducing poverty. Trade is an important engine of growth and a critical pillar in accomplishing sustainable development targets. As the World Trade Organization reports 100 million people impacted by the pandemic globally, and our region's growth in GDP projected at 9.1% across our 19 borrowing member countries, we must do all that we can to ensure that we not only recover, but reposition the region's economies to become increasingly resilient. Growing trade is just one mechanism to accomplish this vision of reducing vulnerabilities and engaging in multi-dimensional resilience. As I close, therefore, I wish to re-emphasize that economic transformation requires all hands on deck. The bank continues its efforts to impact societies and economies. This requires building a resilient ecosystem founded on the underlying principles for knowledge creation, namely accumulation, transformation, and innovation. Trade is but one component of that environment. In this domain, we remain an ardent partner of the Government of Belize, set on delivering on the promise of a better life to each of its citizens. We will work hand in hand to develop new and innovative interventions to benefit the people. Through trade and other thematic focal areas, we will continue to support our borrowing member countries, including Belize, to impact and transform the lives of citizens and create a more sustainable path to a prosperous future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Leon. And today he heads down south tomorrow, and he'll be visiting one of the beneficiary projects, the Toledo Cacao Growers Association. And I hope you get to also enjoy our local foods, because Belize is very diverse and we enjoy lovely food here. Now, to continue, as Dr. Leon rightly mentioned, Belize is among 19 borrowing member countries of the CDB, and we have enjoyed a long relationship with the bank. To speak more on this, I'd like to invite none other than Honorable Amon Courtney, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade, and Immigration, to deliver the keynote address. Minister Courtney.
Thank you very much, Janelle. On Tuesday, when I met Dr. Leon and his team, I indicated to him that Belize is the most beautiful Caribbean island, in fact, the most beautiful country in the world. I listened to him a short while ago, and he said, "Your beautiful country." He forgot most. After your visit down south, I will listen to you carefully to see whether you are ready to add that word. President Leon, Mr. Javier Canton Lamour, Wayne is not with us, but I acknowledge Ambassador Wayne McCook's presence, Ambassador Amalia Mai, Dr. Martinez, the President of the Belize Business Bureau, Mr. Zaraga, representatives of the beneficiary organizations, Director General, other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, welcome and good morning. It is a pleasure for me to participate in today's program as we formally launch support for 4 Belizean entities, a mix of public and private sector bodies. I congratulate the successful recipients. That the Caribbean region is one of the most profoundly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, we must understand the importance of these programs that we launch. Close to 2 years into the pandemic, it is still a struggle to find the right policy mix to ensure public health and safety, and in parallel, allow the necessary breathing space for economic activity through relaxation of strident health measures. On Tuesday, we had a briefing by President Leon and Mr. Best from the Caribbean Development Bank in the Cabinet, in which the President and Mr. Best explained to us the Caribbean Development Bank's vision for the immediate future in terms of assisting countries, including Belize, to rebound from the effect of COVID-19 and the deep economic depression that accompanied that pandemic. It is important, as mentioned by President Leon this morning, to recognize that the projected 9% growth for this year is insufficient to recover from the loss that we suffered as a result of the pandemic. I point to that to underscore that his call for all hands on deck is in fact timely, critical, and important. We are not, Belize or the region or the hemisphere, out of the woods. We are still in recovery mode, and it is absolutely critical as we launch these programs to understand the role, importance, and significance that they will play in catapulting and assisting in accelerating in the recovery. The going has been hard and painful, with untold misery and suffering for many. The reality we face has impressed on us the urgency to attend to the Herculean task of building back better, more inclusive, resilient, sustainable, and green. The pressure all the more intense in the wake of a battered and weakened economy. As a small country, we have always relied on the twin engines of growth, agriculture and services. Although over the years investments have been skewed towards the tourism sector, we have been taking direct and focused measures to rebalance this position, being very much aware of the potential that trade in commodities and agro-processed goods holds for our country's development. Within a little over a year in office, our efforts are starting to bear fruit. From a GDP contraction of 15% in 2020 to GDP growth of 10% during the first 3 quarters of 2021, I underscore and repeat, this growth is clearly not enough. Therefore, government's role as an enabler of the kind of environment conducive to investment and growth has never been more critical. We have stepped up to this role in partnership with the private sector to expand the existing markets, open new ones, and revisit existing market opportunities with keener eyes. By logic, our priority for greater market access is our immediate neighbors, Central America and Mexico, while at the same time ensuring the optimization of secured markets provided through CARICOM single market and economy, the economic partnership agreements with the European Union and the United Kingdom, respectively. And let me pause to underscore the importance of the recent decision of the Caribbean Court of Justice with respect to the trade in sugar. The court went out of its way to underscore the importance of adhering to the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. The purpose of that case, from the Government of Belize's perspective, was to say to the region and the world that we are a party to a treaty which requires us to act in good faith. It requires all member states, all parties to the revised treaty, to act in good faith. If Belize believes and has good reason to show that our rights are being infringed, we will seek to resolve those differences and disputes by negotiation. Failing that, we will go to the Caribbean Court of Justice to ensure that the treaty and the rules governing trade are respected. It appears to us, based on recent requests, that the message has not reached home across the region. I make no threat. I simply promise you that we will insist that our rights be respected. Already we have seen some promising stars emerge in the agro-productive sector, such as the livestock trade, and in the non-traditional commodities like beans, corn, and spices. We are confident that our efforts will help other promising sectors to see the light of day and realize their full potential. The pandemic has reinforced the role of partnership in the rebuilding exercise. For this, we remain grateful to the long-standing partnership partners such as the Caribbean Development Bank and the European Union, which continue to provide trade support across Caribbean countries. Today, we will see the infusion of grants totaling over $3 million for a mix of public and private sector initiatives aimed at bolstering existing trade infrastructure and, in the case of the Toledo Cacao Growers Association, increase competitiveness through product improvement and marketing presence. Notably, and rightly so, the Toledo Cacao Growers Association receives the bulk of the financing. Other public sector entities which play a pivotal role in the trade value chain, such as BAHA, the Bureau of Standards, and the Customs Department, are receiving support to improve their capacity and systems to enable greater efficiency and reduce response time in their services to the private sector. As has been highlighted by speakers before me, small economies like ours, opening markets is the only start to the export journey, especially if the trade ecosystem is characterized by weak and under-resourced public entities, compounded by prohibitively high financing costs for the private sector. One of the issues which we engaged Dr. Leon on Tuesday was the cost of capital to be made available to the private sector. As a part of the recovery and the rebound, we need access to cheaper financing. The private sector urgently and critically needs access to cheaper financing. We discussed certain ways and innovative ways in which the bank would be looking at that issue, and we welcome continued engagement in that regard. We believe that the utilization of market opportunities and economic underperformance are affected by the lack of access to affordable financing. We have been living these lessons for the past 2 decades, and now is the time to scale up our efforts and to turn things around. With the estimated additional 15% of Belizeans who have since fallen into poverty since the COVID-19 pandemic, we do not have the luxury of time. We need to act and act decisively if we intend to break this poverty trap. We are grateful to our partners, the Caribbean Development Bank and the European Union, for their support. We are ourselves fashioning our national program of cooperation under the EU's multi-annual indicative program, and true to form, the program is largely keeping with our trade development orientation over the next 5-year framework, and we look forward to welcoming Ambassador Van Steen later this month. President Leon, Wayne, Mr. Canton Lamousse, in our minds, this is really a new chapter of a long and fruitful relationship. For the next 2 years or so, the successful execution will lie squarely in the laps of all of us present here today. I have every confidence that we will succeed at these programs and have which have been carefully crafted to deliver where we need it most. Dr. Leon and your team, I have been asked by the Honorable Prime Minister to inform you, each and every one of you, that he has issued a Prime Ministerial edict that for entry into Belize on your next visit, you must wear wire bearers. I thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Minister, for those very important messages that you portrayed in your speech. I'd just like to highlight a few keywords that have come up during this launch: strengthening, advancing, building, innovation, resilience. And one of the next key things that we have spoken about is partnership, and as Dr. Leon said, having all hands on deck. And to thank those who have been involved in today's milestone event, I'd like to invite Dr. Osman Martinez for the closing remarks. Dr. Martinez?
Thank you, Chanel. Minister Courtney, I have been in a lot of conversations with Mr. President, and he's doing some research to see where he can buy the guayabetes. So yesterday we told him the best place is Merida, and that CEO Mai knows Merida very well. No? I have had the opportunity and privilege to spend a lot of time with the President and the CARICOM team, and I will concur with Minister Courtney again on the fact that we share the same sentiment that Belize is the most beautiful country. But I said to Daniel Best yesterday, who is the project director, I said, you will have the most beautiful drive when you go through the Hummingbird, and then you enter the Southern Highway, and I said, we will talk about it on Friday. Even though protocol have been established, I'd like to acknowledge Honorable Minister Emon Courtney, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade, and Immigration in Belize. I also like to acknowledge the President, Dr. Leon, the CARICOM team, the European Union, and other guests that are here. But I will be biased as I want to acknowledge my boss in my past life, Provost of Gillen University, Dr. Yves Eard, who is here, representing academia, which is key and one that I always fight for, that development. For Belize to have development, we need academia. We need research and development. Today is a historical day. We have two giants in the house. One, the Caribbean Development Bank, and two, the European Union. The European Union have donated almost 500 million euros to Belize in the last 30 years. And CDB has donated in grants 213 million to Belize. Today I want to encourage the EU not to allow CDB to catch you, so keep pumping some more money. And I want to encourage CDB to please become first place. So double up on your donations to Belize. I am thankful for the opportunity to share some closing remarks at today's launch of the EPA CSME Standby Facility Projects and CDB Trade Program in Belize. Given the contemporary challenges facing Belize and other developing countries, in light of the adverse economic impacts from the COVID-19 pandemic, today's launch of the 4 projects approved under the EPA CSME Standby Facility is particularly apropos. Apart from combating the pandemic itself, perhaps the most important immediate development challenge is the need to stimulate economic growth and recovery in our drive for sustainable and equitable prosperity for all Belizeans. Minister Courtney did highlight it, that a 10% growth Q3 of 2021 is not enough. We are still in the recovery mode, as there was a decline of 15 points of GDP in 2020. Government subscribes to the philosophy that a vibrant, inclusive economy that benefits all Belizeans is fundamental to sustainable development. An inclusive and equitable economy will allow every Belizean the opportunity to pursue their economic interests and on their own terms and promote independence and self-reliance, which are important in the large context of holistic well-being. Viewed through the lens of government support to interventions that targets and promote economic growth and recovery, the 4 projects approved under the standby facility are extremely well aligned with the government's goal of private sector driven. And I am happy to share in this past that in the board of directors of CDB in December of 2020, I think CDB was very innovative in passing a motion of the PPPs, the public-private sector, and also a financial support to the private sector. We believe that the drivers of our economy should be the private sector. And so I applaud CDB for that support. Hence the reason during the visit of the president and his delegation, they have met a lot with the private sector. Government cannot continue to borrow. We need to allow the private sector to borrow. Debt to GDP is already high and is unsustainable. We need to get it back to at least 85% by the end of 2025. Taken in aggregate, the projects present significant opportunities to contribute to the continued diversification of our economy, especially with respect to the project approved for TCGA, the Toledo Cacao Growers Association. I'm happy to hear that the forgotten district is finally getting some attention. And I will be biased, I'm from the southern part of the country. So such support I celebrate. In addition, the Toledo district also suffers with the highest poverty index, the highest unemployment. And as such, congratulations and thank you again to CDB and the European Union for redirecting some focus to the Toledo district. And the potential it presents for agriculture and agro-processing. We note especially the holistic nature of the project, which seeks to, among other things, improve cacao yield through a research and development plot. Hence the reason I acknowledge the presence of the provost of Yellen University. And I'm looking forward to see the National University, University of Belize as well, to be involved in the research and development. Help members increase revenue through improved value-added services, infrastructure, and relevant trade certifications, and improve marketing capabilities, thereby strengthening the industry ability to position itself favorably within the region and global value chains. Given the small size of Belize's domestic market, achieving our growth aspiration will be largely dependent on the ability of our private sector. Hence the reason I did highlight the opportunities that CDB have now where there is a portfolio to finance the private sector. To capitalize on opportunities available in external markets on a competitive basis. In respect of the 3 projects approved for the Directorate General for Foreign Trade, the Belize Bureau of Standards and the Belize Agriculture and Health Authorities, BAHA, these all seek to improve key trade facility services provided to the private sector by government. We have heard the cry of the private sector. We also heard the recommendations of IMF, whereby Belize in 2010 ranked at the ease of doing business, Belize was at 98. In 2020, now we are at 138 out of 172 countries. We are competing with countries like Zimbabwe, Iran, Syria. We are not an easy country to do business, and the government have acknowledged that there is a need to improve the ease of doing business in Belize. This all seeks to improve key trade facilities, services, to provide to the private sector by government, thereby strengthen the wider enabling environment, undoubtedly given long-standing perceptions of the bureaucracy and inefficiency tied to the border clearance processes. Trade actors will take key interest in the analysis to be done under the DGFT project, which seeks to improve related processes and examine the feasibility of establishing an electronic single window aimed at enhancing administrative efficiency and effectiveness, reducing cost and time to market, and increasing the predictability of trade. Government who recognize that in order for our private sector to successfully penetrate export markets, we need to strengthen the capacity of our national quality infrastructure. A robust and responsive national quality infrastructure is critically important for meeting customers' quality expectations, as well as allowing our products to meet the standards threshold established in external markets, and thereby overcoming any technical barriers to trade that might otherwise present a problem for market access. In this vein, we are pleased to note the assistance being afforded to Belize Bureau of Standards to improve its ability in the area of legal metrology through the procurement of relevant mass standards that will expand its service capability to a large volume. Given the dominant role that agriculture and agro-processing plays in our economy, and the need for government to strengthen related services and systems, we are pleased to note the support being provided to the Belize agricultural health authorities in the form of assistance to develop a risk-based sanitary and phytosanitary import and export control system. It is envisioned that the outcome of this project will result in Baja executing its role in relation food safety, animal and plant health more effectively and efficiently through the use of web-based inspection management system for SPS operation, and the development of a risk-based food inspection framework. Other benefits include reduced transaction costs to importers and exporters, reduced exposure to foodborne disease and pest and animal disease, and more efficient use of inspection resources. Ultimately, all of these contributes to government's stated goal of improving the ease of doing business. These projects make strategic contribution to promoting trade facilitation, which is one of the key pillars of Belize's national trade policy. Improved key service provided by government to the private sector will help unlock regional and international trade opportunities. Government recognizes that pursuing trade and expanded market opportunities are key levers that can help to unlock Belize's growth and development potential. In closing, I am pleased to recognize the strategic support afforded to Belize by the CDB and the EU through the standby facility in helping to build up the capacity of some of our key institutions that are integral to the trade facilitation process. We are also thankful for the direct assistance provided to the Toledo Cacao Growers Associations as it seeks to capitalize on the market opportunities available for the cacao industry to the benefits of the many farmers and other beneficiaries that it supports. As the CDB works to develop its new country engagement strategy with Belize, we look forward to build on the solid foundation laid here in respect of promoting private sector and export-led growth, as these are essential elements of our strategy to achieve an inclusive and prosperous economy that support and improve quality for all Belizeans. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CEO. And I'm not from the South, but I definitely enjoy a trip to Punta Gorda. So hopefully the CDB team will feel the same at the end, and I'm certain they will. Highlighting one of the themes that Dr. Martinez brought up is inclusion, which I forgot to mention. But if you were paying attention to the video, you'd notice that Mr. Koch made special mention of how their project will focus on supporting vulnerable groups, specifically women and youth. On that note, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here today for this very important launch. And I'd like to also invite our guests to join us for a small reception next door. For our viewers online, both in Belize and regionally, thank you for joining us. Once again, have a great afternoon. Thank you very much.